Hello, guys, welcome back. Krishna here, and Bangladesh is literally on fire again. Fresh protests, clashes, tear gas, crowds running, and a former Prime Minister of Bangladesh has been sentenced to death. Yes, Sheikh Hasina, the same leader who ruled the country over 15 years, has now been declared guilty of crimes against humanity. How did things reach this extreme, and why is she being held personally responsible? And what's happening on the streets right now? Let's break it down in a simple way. To understand the death sentence, we need to rewind a bit. In mid 2024, Bangladesh saw one of the biggest student movements in its history, and it got triggered by a government decision to reintroduce a 30% quota in government jobs for the children of freedom fighters. And now, on paper, it sounds harmless, but in reality, students felt like it took away their job opportunities in a country which is already struggling with unemployment. Jobs were already scarce, and this quota felt unfair and outdated. But honestly, the protesters weren't just about the job quota, that was just a spark. Students were also frustrated for years because of no jobs even after graduation, rising prices, internet shutdowns, and pressure on media, police action on student groups, and Hasina's overall style of tight central control. And then Hasina made the situation even worse by calling the protesters as Razakars. In Bangladesh, the word is a huge insult. It refers to people who betrayed the country during the 1971 war. So imagine the mood. Students were very furious. And you know what? The protests were started in universities and quickly spread across the whole country. Crowds grew bigger every day. Roads were shut down, railways were blocked, and government buildings were stormed. And the police and security forces responded with huge force like tear gas, rubber bullets, and even with live ammunition in some areas. Clashes went on for weeks. Videos went viral of brutal beatings, raids inside hostels, and officers firing straight away into the crowd. The violence grew out of control. Different reports gave different numbers, but several international agencies said that more than 1,000 people may have been killed. That number completely shocked the international community and it turned public opinion sharply against Hasina's government. Her administration started losing the control. Police stations were attacked, ruling party offices were burned, ministers stopped appearing in public, and the state machinery was basically collapsing. And as things got worse, the military stepped in. They didn't do a cop, but they basically told the politicians to step aside so the violence could be stopped. Hasina suddenly left Bangladesh and entered India. She said it was for her safety. Her opponents said she ran away. After she left, an interim government was formed to restore the order, and the new administration promised one thing: we will hold everyone accountable for the killings. So the interim government formed a special tribunal, a high-powered court to investigate the crackdown. It wasn't some small inquiry. This was a full legal process with judges, prosecutors, and testimonies. The big question the court wanted to answer was simple: who ordered the violence? Because the scale of death was too big to be random. And after months of collecting footage, witness statements, internal documents, and security reports, the tribunal filed charges against Sheikh Hasina. The major charges included: first, ordering the crackdown on students; second, allowing killings even after security briefings said violence could explode; third, using excessive force, including helicopters, drones, and armored vehicles; fourth, not stopping torture and illegal detentions; fifth, inciting violence with aggressive public speeches. These were very serious international level crimes. That's why the tribunal categorized them as crime against humanity. The court showed several types of evidence, like not just news clips. This also included footage from drones used by security forces, radio communication between officers, medical reports of students killing, testimonies from police officers saying they were told to shoot on sight, videos of choppers firing into crowds, orders shared in government WhatsApp groups and email chains, voices of parents who lost their children. This made the case extremely strong. Finally, after months of hearings, the tribunal delivered its verdict. Hasina was found guilty on the biggest charges. The judge ruled that she personally held command responsibility for the killings, and the punishment announced was the most extreme, that is, death penalty. This shocked the entire region. This is the first time in South Asia that a former PM was sentenced to death for actions taken while in office. And Hasina reacted immediately from India. She called the verdict political and unfair. She said the tribunal was biased and controlled by her enemies. She claimed the evidence was twisted and exaggerated. She defended her 15-year rule, saying she improved roads, electricity, foreign investment, women's safety, and poverty reduction. She said she was being punished for doing her job. But inside Bangladesh, the moment verdict came out, the streets exploded again. Her supporters called it a political assassination attempt. Opposition groups celebrated it as a justice for the students. Crowds tried to attack Sheikh Mujibur Rahman's house, a very symbolic place since he is father of Hasina. Police used tear gas, batons, and water cannons to push them back. Videos circulating online show huge clashes outside Dhaka University and several other hotspots. And now the Bangladesh government has officially asked India to send Hasina back to face the sentence. India hasn't responded yet. This puts India in a very tough position. If they send her back, they get blamed for helping the verdict. If they don't, they'll be accused of sheltering a convicted leader. This could impact regional politics in a very big way. This verdict changes everything in Bangladesh. The political landscape is totally shaken. Hasina's party is under massive pressure. The interim government is trying to stabilize things, and young people who started the movement now feel they finally have the political power. The 2026 elections now will decide the new direction of the country. So now the big question is, does this verdict bring justice or does it bring chaos? Is this a new beginning of Bangladesh or is this opening the door for more political revenge? There's no simple answer, but one thing is clear. What happened in Bangladesh is shaping the future of the entire region. If you found this breakdown helpful, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments, do you think Hasina's sentence is fair or political? Thanks for watching. Thank you guys. See you in the next video. Bye bye.